amber, bay, beige, brick, bronze, buff, chestnut, chocolate, cinnamon, cocoa, coffee, copper, fawn, ginger, hazelnut, henna, khaki, mahogany, nut, ochre, russet, rust, sepia, sorrel, tan, toast, umber, auburn, burnt, sienna, tawny, and terracotta. Marry me, Annie here. What other shades of brown could you add to the list that I just offered as a litany? I am here to tell you that the color brown gets short shrift and is truly glorious in its own right. Okay, maybe glorious isn't a word I might use to describe browns, but lots of other beautiful adjectives are. Why am I so fixated on brown at this time of the season of Samhain? Because it is my vista, my view, and my muse. The room where I do my writing has a sliding glass door onto our porch and a view into the surrounding woods. And that particular spot in the woods it's peopled with oak trees, and I do mean peopled. I have come to know each one of them individually and distinctly, having their own personalities. It's the time of the year when their oranges are fading to brown. I don't know if it's the climate here. Sometimes things happen differently in salt air. But the oaks are the trees that hang onto their leaves once they have given up their color here. Until a day, and usually in a nor'easter, and today is indeed a day of a nor'easter, when it's as if they share a secret signal and they toss all their brown finery into the air at the same time. Our neighborhood is a swirl with oak leaves today. Usually that happens after we've had a couple of hard frosts, and then along comes just the right amount of wind. I have become adjusted to this point of the year here on the land I live on that I look forward to. First, witnessing their beautiful burst of color, and then seeing that color ease into brown, and then seeing it dance on the air. Back in my redheaded days, I wore a lot of brown. I did one of those color tests and it said you should. It warmed my skin and set off my hair color. I also spent time coming to understand the correspondences aligned to the color brown. Well, a bit less frivolous of an activity than centered on my personal aesthetic, hair, clothes, and makeup. For my notes on the color brown, as I relate it to the season of Samhain, it's the color of stability, structure, and support. Easily to align that to Samhain. We see it in the increase every day as tree trunk and limb become more obvious as their leaves do the final dance. We're surrounded with the imagery of strength. In color psychology, the color is seen as open, honest, and sincere. In this season of Samhain, the season of seeing the bones of everything and considering what matters the most, it is a color of clarity that comes out of that essence of openness, honesty, and sincerity. It's a color of comfort and calmness. I see it as an emotionally neutral color, calm in its balance of cool and warm, just as autumn is. And as far as comfort, it's a color of home and hearth to me also. The color that results from drawing within and cozying down for the season. Brown is a color of grounding. It feels as though everything settles to brown when the later we go into the season of Samhain. It's the color of roots, too, so grounding that goes deep. Another aspect from color psychology is that of steadiness and reliability. Especially once hurricane season ends here, it'll end in another couple of weeks. There's a steadiness to the weather that lasts through winter. Yes, it's a personality I ascribe to weather sometimes, it's predictability. Brown will stand by our side until the first days of the greening in early spring. It won't go away then, of course, but it starts to, well, take on a lot more hues. Perhaps because there are more colors then to compare it to. I read somewhere that the 3 most common colors on Earth, in the sense of how many shades of each color there are in nature, are green, blue, and brown. I don't know if that's true, but in the land I live on, I can certainly see it as true here. It's a lovely color to play with in a palette. So many combinations of other colors will result in shades of brown. The most common combination is equal parts red, blue, and yellow. But you can also mix orange and blue, or yellow and purple, or red and green, and still arrive at shades of brown. Who couldn't love a color that can contain so many other colors? And in the season of Samhain, I envision that all of the colors of the year live inside brown. Maybe it's time to give brown its due. She writes as her little brown dog sits in her lap. Will you notice the brown things in your life today? Maybe this from Kunio Fukada in the book he co-authored entitled The Colors of Japan will inspire us. Brown is neither one of the basic color perceptions nor a primary color used in color mixtures. But for human beings, it is present both in nature and in their everyday surroundings. It's the color of the earth itself, of rocks and sand, of the bark of trees, of the fur of animals. In that sense, at least, it could be the basic color of everyday life. All hail the color brown. Well, except in one instance I have to share with you, because this is in my collection of notes on brown. It's from Walter Darby Bannard, an abstract painter. You had a problem with a certain shading of brown, and that's how I'm going to end this video. Purplish brown, let's agree it. It's a color so bad we all flee it. It has no good use, so let's name it puce, from the sound we make when we see it. I hope I left you with a smile. I wish you all mirth and reverence in the season of Samhain. Merry part.